It's Sunday morning and I'm here journaling as part of my morning routine. I am in the very back of the front book in the random section where I write my morning pages and just general brainstorming and stuff. And the very first thing I journaled about was that I might want to film a video today. So I actually went upstairs to my office/craft room and got my tripod and just placed it beside me. I'm sitting by the kitchen window where I always sit in the mornings. It's just my favorite spot. And on this page, as you can see, I haven't embellished it yet. Earlier this year, I embellished my books beforehand, but now in April, haven't done that. I inked some pages, but I didn't glue in a lot of pictures. I mean, there is something to be said for doing that beforehand because you bond with a book, I think. But I wanted kind of a clean slate because March was a very over embellished book and I wanted some room to breathe. And it is kind of therapeutic to embellish as I go. Now I've taken my box of April stuff, just checking what might fit on this page before I continue writing. And I've found a piece of, well, it's a piece of paper that I once inked. It was a whole A4 sheet to begin with, but I didn't really like how it turned out. Maybe you saw that there was some purple on the back of it. I didn't like that together with the yellow green, so I've just cut a piece of it, a strip of it, and glued that down. And now I'm checking to see if there are any images that might fit with it, and I quite liked that one, but I don't know, it does take up a whole page and I wasn't sure, so I abandoned that idea and looked through these pages from an Edith Holden book. But I did sort of like the what are they called? Like the buds. Oh, what are they called? They're like furry buds, and I can't. Catkins? Is that the word for them? I kind of liked them because the color went with the strip of paper, but then I didn't know how to cut it to make it look good. It would have been sort of sprawled all over the page, and I didn't think I would like that, so I abandoned that as well. And here I am checking some images of roses, wild roses from the 18th century, the Empress Josephine, her roses, from a book about her roses. I tell you, that book was the mother lode of junk journaling, like stash builder book. My husband found it. We were at a secondhand store and he came up to me and said, is this something that you can use? And I was just, yes, I can use that. It's perfect. I love you. So yes, it's from that book. I have now found another piece of that same paper that was dyed in a yellow-green, so I put that on the other side to make it sort of symmetrical, and I'm trying out different things. I quite liked the shoe, the leek shoe, but it didn't feel like today. It did look good on the page, but it didn't feel like this Sunday, so yeah, I didn't choose that one, even though it looks kind of good. So, continue hunting for scraps in my box. I have a box. I store all my monthly themed stuff in boxes, like one box per month. But there's quite a lot of stuff in them and quite a lot of junk journaling stuff that is too bulky and laces and fabrics and stuff that I don't put in my planner because it would take up too much room, make it too big, like gator mouth big. So instead, I gather the sort of flat supplies that I might use in another box, this plastic box that I'm looking through. So in March, I had March stuff from the big March box in this plastic box, small box. And now in April, I have put all those things back in the March box, and I've put my April stuff in it instead. So, yeah, it's kind of good to have a small selection of things to use, because my whole stash is overwhelming, to say the least. I'm trying to de-stash, to actually use up everything. I have forbidden myself to buy anything new, or newish, because I buy things secondhand. But until I have sort of made my stash less daunting, I need to feel that I actually need new stuff before I can go out and look for them. And that is a goal. I mean, I like buying stuff, especially since, I don't have to. My conscience is fairly clean because it's secondhand. I buy in stores that, like, charity shops. But yeah, I do look forward to actually going out there again and finding new stuff. So I'm really motivated to use up all my things, which is one reason why I'm actually using these roses from the rose book I was talking about. Because normally I would sit on them, like, look at this perfect rose. I would think, oh, I can't use it now, not for a random morning page in my April planner. There's nothing special about this day. Why would I embellish it with this perfect rose? But that's the thing, why do you have these things? You're going to die anyway, so why not choose a nice rose? That's me paraphrasing Dylan Moran, by the way. We know we're gonna die, make a fucking nice cake. And this is my version of that. Make a fucking nice page. By the way, I don't really like fussy cutting, but I will do it if I need to. So the images in this box, my April box, are like carelessly fussy cut, so not very fussy at all. But sometimes that's okay if I'm just gluing these onto a white page with nothing, no background. But this time I wanted the like the margins there, the edge, the strips of paper to peek through the rose's leaves, or whatever it's called. So I actually did put in some effort there. The dark green strips of paper that I've added are from a book. It's just a random book about, I think it was about Eastern philosophies, but there were a lot of like colorful pages in it. So I have cut washi tape from it. It's not washi tape because it's not tape, it's just strips of paper. But I use it as washi tape, colored strips of paper that I glue in as borders and just embellishments. That way, it is a good thing, I think, because if I buy a whole roll of washi tape, I might get sick of it before I've used it up. And, using the same pattern again and again can get kind of old. So by using these really random patterned or just colored pages from books, you don't get a lot of each type of pattern or whatever it is. So you don't have the time to be sick of it. So what did I journal about then? Well, at first I wrote about filming a video, and I wrote that maybe I want to film a video about my world building book, which I might still do. I've wanted to do that for a long time because I'm really pleased with it, so I'd like to show it off. And then I journaled about my husband's birthday, and I'm really trying to be an early bird this year about everything, everyone's birthdays, Christmas. I'm actually checking for presents all the time. I have it on my sort of constant list of things to do, things like repetitive stuff you need to do, to actually check for things, Google them. And I was writing about how hard it is to find the right things for him. And I also wrote about what I want to do today, like cycling and exercising and hoovering. We'll see about that, because I have wasted some time on writing today. I haven't wasted time. That's not a waste of time, but I have spent several hours actually writing on my fantasy book, not just world building, but actually writing. And if you're a writer by any, chance, I cannot recommend Ellen Brock enough. She's an editor who has a YouTube channel, and her advice is the best there is. I mean, go check her out if you're a writer. She has really helped me a lot. And lately I have really taken some of her advice to heart, the things that really apply to me, because she is very open about things not being for everyone. Like, if you're this writer type, you might do like this, and I don't know. And I've taken it to heart, and it has really helped. And I don't know, I already knew this stuff, but hearing her say it, that this is the way you work best, really it opened the floodgates. Now I'm just writing. So the hoovering will have to wait, perhaps. What else? I have now moved to my daily list pages. I don't call them that anymore. I don't know what to call them. Well, maybe I'll just call them that. Since I've called them that in my planner section series, so maybe I should continue with that nomenclature so as not to confuse anyone. So, daily lists. I have gratitude, I have wins, I have what I have learned, and what else? What do I want? And make each day count. So, I've written a lot about my writing, because that's sort of been on my mind the past couple of days. So I think on every page I wrote something about my world. It becomes repetitive, yes, but at the same time, writing things again and again make things stick in your memory and in your heart. Like, these are the things I am grateful for now. These are my wins, and they're all the same thing, but I write them again and again, and I really feel that, yes, this part of my life is going great. And so what if I fill page after page about that thing, because it's something that makes me feel good, which is kind of the whole point about this book. And now I am on the I'm on the Daily Doodles page, and I am going to fussy cut this postcard. And this is also a crafting tip, because postcards are very thick, but in my experience, you can always rip off the top layer. It's like a plasticky layer on top of the cardboard with the image on it. And it's quite easy to peel that off. And then, it doesn't add so much bulk to your book, and it's easier to cut. So, win-win. And as you can see, perhaps if you know about these, this is a Flower Fairy by Mary Sisley Barker is her name, I think. And I loved these as a child, and I love them now because I haven't grown up yet. I am just a big child with more money. So I fell for this image today. I looked through my box and I wanted that fairy on this day. For some reason, I feel like the lily of the valley is a very April flower, even though there are no flowers here right now. The world is covered in snow, several decimeters, I think. It's been snowing non-stop for 3 days. But all the same, April is green for me, and there are these really spring-like images that I want to use and associate with April. So, I mean, I have spent quite a lot of time in England, so maybe that's my excuse. Kind of a different climate from where I live, in the north of Sweden, by the way. So, fairy is in place. What next? Well, as you can see, I've put in the top corner there the weather. So I've put a cloud and some snowflakes. And now I'm just looking through my sketching pages to see if there's anything I'd like to continue working on. And there wasn't. So I've flipped to my development section and I'm writing about, let's see, I have to check actually in my actual book. Well, I wrote about how long I slept, and I'm sort of debating with myself whether I should have slept longer, but it's always a compromise. You want to sleep in, but at the same time you want your Sunday to do a lot of fun stuff, so you don't want to sleep too late. And that's always kind of a conundrum for me, so I wrote about that. So that was on the energy and inspiration box, I guess, at the top. The next box, or the next row, is about emotions. So I wrote about feeling neutral, which is something I think I do. I think I'm neutral, but when I start thinking about it, I actually have emotions that I can pinpoint. So I wrote about that and actually realized that I was feeling a bit impatient and scattered and almost stressed out because I wanted to do so many things today. Then I wrote about my physical ailments. I mean, I can write about good stuff to do with the body as well, but I tend to have a lot of aches and pains, so that's what I write about, to document them in case they get better or worse. So I've written about my chest, which is I'm not well yet since my COVID, so that's fun. And my knee and my shoulder and stuff. Same as every day. But it is good to have those things written down, because sometimes you can go back and see where something started, where it changed, how you behaved, and how, the consequences of that, and so on. And now I have flipped to my project journaling section, and I'm writing about YouTube. Because I realized when I flipped through them that I haven't written about finishing my planner section series yet. So I wrote about that on my YouTube page because it's a win. It's another place to write about wins and done it's. Instead of to-dos, you can write done it's. That sounds really weird, but you can document what you actually do instead of always writing to-do lists where you check off things and maybe have to transfer them to the next day because you didn't do them, and all those things that make you feel guilty. But when you write about things you actually did do and that you actually didn't have on your to-do list but you did them anyway, that can make you feel kind of good and accomplished. So that's what I did. And that's what these pages are for. I also wrote about my husband's renovations, I guess. And here I am writing about presents because it's such a hassle. No, it's not a hassle, but I'm so bad at finding presents. So I wrote about that. And I realized as I wrote about it that I needed to... I've forgotten now. I know I had some kind of realization, and it's too small. I can't read on my phone, the film that I'm doing the voiceover for. It's too small. Oh yes, I wrote about how how the Swedish post system is very slow. It's a disgrace. So, think about it. You don't have too much time if you're going to order something online. It might take 4 weeks for it to arrive. Then I flipped back to my Someday Maybe section and just looked through the tabs to see if there was anything else I wanted to journal about. And I lighted on the writing page, and since I've been writing a lot, I decided to journal about that. It's very easy to forget, I feel, that these pages are not only for writing about obstacles and what I should do and what I haven't done, but also for writing about what I did do. Actually, it's mostly for that. So I wrote about how well it's gone lately to write about my fantasy book, and how it's really my writer's block is gone, I hope. Jinx. And you know what I'm doing that is working, and therefore I should continue doing it, because maybe then I can keep this bright, elusive inspiration. Butterfly of inspiration. Sorry. If you're going to paraphrase something, paraphrase it right. So writing about what you've done is both like encouraging, but also it's a way of, I think, confirming or cementing things that work. That when you find a way of doing things, a way of motivating yourself that works, writing about it can perhaps make you remember it. And just, instead of just doing something and then moving on and forgetting all about it and not sort of learning the lesson, it's kind of a waste, because at least for me, I tend to learn the same lesson again and again because I forget. So I think writing things down, writing the lesson down and telling myself this really worked, that didn't work, continue with the thing that works, it might help in the long run. After writing about writing, I just counted the pages to see how many project journaling pages I haven't started. And then I moved on to my health page and wrote about my shoulder and how I have to call my doctor about it. I think I have this nerve, I think it's called the impingement. And writing about it actually made me decide to call them on Monday. So after journaling about it, just 3 lines, I went to the calendar in the front and put it on Monday, call my doctor. And that's it. I sat for 50 minutes doing this, and it's just such a nice, calm way of waking up.